Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about map, its definition, map history, then importance of map, then map classification, map scale, and classification based on scale and function. Okay. First of all, definition of map. At its simplest, a map is a visual representation of an entire area or a part of an area, typically on a flat surface. According to Captain R.P. Cave, a map is nothing more than a picture from which one can visualize the subject which it portrays. Okay, however, a map is more than just a picture. It is a diagram showing details and features that exist on the ground, designed to illustrate specific characteristics of a particular area, from landforms, bodies of water to national boundaries and cities. Okay, this is the two definitions of map. Then, brief history of map. First of all, in ancient era, earliest symbolic maps are Babylonian maps, an introduction of latitude and longitude by Ptolemy, one of great historians and geographer. Then medieval time, in medieval time, religious maps in Europe, TO maps versus scientific maps in the Islamic world, for example, RDC. Then age of exploration, rise of portal search for sea navigation improved with the compass. Then scientific revolution, marketer projection, developed maths and surveys increase accuracy. Then in 19th century, expansion of national mapping programs, topographic and colonial maps. In 20th century, aerial photography, satellites revolutionized map making, that is satellite imagery. In recent times, 21st century, dominance of digital maps like GIS and GPS and real-time interactive mapping. This is the chronology or history of map making. First of all, ancient, medieval, age of exploration, scientific revolution, 19th century, 20th century, 21st century. Okay, now there are some significance or importance of map making. First of all, we need map making for society and planning. Then secondly, strategy and governance, and then science and environment. In society and planning section, there are some urban planning and infrastructure development, disaster management like identifying risk zones mapping, flood hazard mapping, vulnerability mapping, etc., and planning relief mapping. Then educational purposes, understanding geography and spatial relationships, its spatial relationship between different phenomena on the Earth's surface. Then cultural and historical understanding, showing changes in territories, that is land use and cover map. First of all, society and planning. Then strategy and governance. In for example, military use, defense planning and battlefield strategy. Then political and administrative. Then resource management, aiding in efficient use of natural resources. Then thirdly, science and environment. Scientific research for data visualization of geology and ecology, etc., and environmental monitoring, taking deforestation, climate change, etc. These are three basic importance or significance of map making. Okay, there are some elements in when we are trying to make a map. There are some elements. Significantly, there are some elements needed. First of all, its title. This is a map of fiction, any kind of region, map of, for example, India, map of Bangladesh, map of Pakistan, map of Australia. This is a title of map. Then after that, grid system, latitude and longitude must be needed on its boundary. Then symbols and legends. Legends means its icons, colors and shapes explained in a key. Then again, projection, the method for representing the 3D Earth on a 2D surface, what kind of map projection. Then direction means a north arrow orientation, usually shown with a compass, rose or north arrow. Then most important thing was scale. We need a scale. It represents the ratio between map distance and real world distance. These are some basic elements of map making. Okay, after that, there are some basic types of scale. First of all, statement of scale, then graphical or bar scale, then representative fraction, shortly RF. Statement scale, for example, 1 centimeter represents 1 kilometer. 1 centimeter represents 10 kilometer or 1 kilometer. Then 1 inch represents 10 miles. Okay, a written statement describes the relationship between map and ground distance. Okay, there are its advantage, simple and direct to understand, and disadvantages becomes incorrect if map is resized. If the map is resized, then it must be changed. Otherwise, it will leads to a fault indications. After the geographical or bar scale is an example of geographical or bar scale. A line bar with marked divisions showing a corresponding map and ground distance remains valid even when the map is resized. This is the advantage of graphical scale. Otherwise, it is use restricted to those who can understand the specific unit shown. This is the disadvantage of graphical or bioscale. And lastly, representative fraction. 1:24,000, 1:10,000, etc. A unitless ratio. This is a unitless ratio showing the relationship between one unit on the map and the same units on the ground. Advantage was the most versatile and universally acceptable method, and it disadvantage was requires calculation to determine real distances. For representative fraction, there are some mathematical calculation. Otherwise, we cannot use representative fraction in a map making procedure. After that, okay, there are some basic difference between large scale and small scale. Okay, in large scale, we can show a small area more magnifyingly. Small area. Then on the other hand, in small scale, we can show a wide angle lens. That means a large area. Okay. For example, is small scale ratio, a large scale ratio. For example, large scale ratio 1:10,000. It covers a small area, detailed level high, very high, showed individual buildings and streets. Use case city planning and cadastral service. On the other hand, small scale ratio is will be small 1:30. 300 lakhs or 30 million. Area covers large area for it may be for continent or country level. Then detail level low shows only major features like countries and oceans. And use cases wall maps and atlases. This is a basic difference between large scale map and small scale map. Okay, we can divide maps into on the basis of scale and function. Okay. Classification by scale relates to the ratio between map and reality, determining the level of detail and area covered. On the other hand, classification by function relates to the map subject matter and distinguish between natural and man-made features. Okay, on the basis of we can divide into large scale and small scale, and on the basis of functions we can divide into natural, that is physical, and man-made or cultural features. Physical map and cultural map. Okay, first of all, large scale map. There are two types of large scale map. For example, cadastral maps and topographical maps. Then small scale maps, wall maps, and atlas or chorographical maps. Then some basics type of physical maps. Example of physical maps are relief maps. Relief maps shows generally topography like mountains, valleys, plain and plateaus. Then geographical maps drawn to show geological structure and rock types. Then astronomical maps shows the features of heavenly bodies. Then climatic maps show the climatic regions, temperature, rainfall, humidity, air pressure, wind velocity, etc. Then soil maps, types of soil, distribution of soils, properties of different soils in different regions. These are the basic types of physical maps. Then cultural maps. Cultural maps shows man-made features. We can also call this man-made maps, illustrating the social, political, and economic landscapes we create. First of all, political maps, it shows the most administrative divisions like map boundary, map counties, states or districts for planning and management. Then population maps, it shows distribution, density, growth and composition of population. Then economic maps depicts production of crops, minerals, location of industries and trade routes. Then historical maps show historical events and territorial change over times. And social maps depict language, religions, race, culture and other social factors. Okay, these are some basic example of cultural maps. Okay, lastly, no single map tells the whole story. True understanding comes from laying defined cartographic perspectives. These are physical, cultural, and economic perspectives to reveal a complex character of a place. By combining these lenses, we move from a simple picture to a powerful tool for insight. That's all for today. Thank you.